pretty much as you see, the case is pretty much disassembled, excluding the sprag or the one-way clutch that's back there. I don't want to disassemble that yet because I'm doing something else right now. And these one-way clutches are pretty notorious for going if you put some power through the transmission. Inspecting some parts here and there. So we have the rear planetary and then the front planetary, unless I got those two mixed around. Nothing was wrong with the bands. The bands look fantastic. Both bands look okay. The drums look good. Pretty much no problem, what I can see. One ugly thing I did notice was the front planetary. And if you look closely, you see those scratches in there? That could be like manufacturing process scratches. You notice this one? There's a scratch right there, if you can see that on the pinion. See that? It's on the lower half of the gears. It's all like that on the gears. There's a crack or yeah, that almost looks like a crack, but it's not. It's just a notch right there. The front planetary was missing a thrust washer. A thrust washer will be present all around here. That is missing. The interesting thing with the rear pump, the rear pumps are only present on 64 and pretty much below, I think. So 62, 64, they all had rear pumps. 65 and 67, I think they removed the rear pump altogether. There's an interesting scratch going along up here. If you can see that, there's a scratch right there. And I looked at the rear pump. I'm gonna try to show you different angles of it. But this area on this rear pump here is chipped. So I'm thinking that might be what was causing the noise, because I set it back in there, rotate it, and it goes. This entire piece does not come out. I believe it's a press fit. So you need to get a press to press it out. All right, so this is a little bit sudden and you're kind of pretty much jumping right into the action. I removed all the 5 bolts on the pump and going to be disassembling the pump and the gear and rotor assembly. So, bushing looks like the stake. It looks like it's pushed cocked to the right, so it got slammed, whatever it is. Oh yeah, the bearing material is gone, if you can see that. Prop it up without having the gear and rotor falling out. You notice that the bearing in there is it's completely gone, and there's like a black wipe mark or a witness mark. There you go. So this is the rotor. So I don't see any cracks. Okay, so I maybe see like a dark patch like right there, if you can see that. It's like at the top or center of the screen. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm going to inspect that later for flatness. This bearing has some copper material on it. There's no copper-like material left in here, and it feels ever so slightly scored. This might be the smoking gun, actually, on what was causing all the noise in the transmission. I don't want to dry this out too much because it's going to start rusting. You know what I'd say? This rotor and the gear probably got hot. Hence why it's kind of all colored black. The extension housing that I was able to disconnect from the case. There is a bearing in there, and there is a snap ring channel in there. The bearing inner diameter here does not look so great. It's rusty, and if you'll follow me, this is the output shaft, and with the governor and the parking lock cog still on there. I'll disassemble this later at a later time. I'm gonna disassemble the pump right now, and I'm gonna focus on that. Now I'm looking at the output shaft. It looks okay. I mean, to my untrained eye, but this is where your rear where your rear support rides on, which is that top area on the case. But my finger's not catching on this, so I think it's okay. I think I had to get some 300 grit sandpaper and sand it off just a little bit, and then they'll be pretty nice. Now, what I wanted to show you was that's where the bearing was riding on in the extension housing. Now, it's very rusty, so at some point water was able to get into the transmission. The sun gear and shell, which would be down there. I was reading a rebuild book and then said, if your planetary gears are damaged, so is your sun gear. So I think I'm going to have to replace the sun gear as well. What I'm going to show you is the rear clutches. Okay, so this is your pressure plate. And yep, that's your pressure plate. Now it has one dark spot, if you can see it right there, so it got pretty hot. Some parts of the pressure plate is pretty much orange colored, so it got pretty hot, yeah, that's for sure. And now for lo and behold, the surprising thing. These are the clutches, and as you can see, there's still plenty of life on them. There's still life on them. There's still life on these, and they don't look too bad. Usually you'd have pressure plate, clutch, and then steel, and clutch, steel, and you'd orientate with 4 clutches and 4 steels, and then with a pressure plate on top. For the front clutch, alright, so that's the front drum. That's your selective snap ring. And let's get you out of the way. This is the pressure plate, and there you go. This clutch is worn out, if you can see that. It looks pretty much glazed. The steels don't look too bad, but some of them are showing, actually, yeah, some odd few are indeed showing gold color, so it got pretty warm. At the bottom, usually you'd have a steel plate and a friction and then a steel plate at the bottom. But in this case, somebody stacked a steel on top of a steel. This car might have been indeed a Friday car. Well, I mean, I think you already kind of know that this thing is gonna, it went through the ringer. Seeing the plantaries, especially with those little, I mean, not exactly, didn't go through the ringer in a sense, but it's just, it's done its job well for 60 years. All right, so I think that'll do it for this video. See you guys later.